called Chalk Outline at the Scene of an Imaginary Crime. I've learned a keen defense, to freeze the features of my face into a sovereign of indifference. Whatever you think of me now is probably an illusion based on pretense. You can't begin to assess the depth of my existence. I've stopped trying to guess what grudge you hold against one who has done nothing untoward. I've ceased wringing my hands. From now on, I will only open my door to those who need me, love me, or treat me with clemency. You see, my skin is thinning, and I've lost the will to bear knocking. Let's see. Is there 5 minutes, you said? Okay, so. Okay, this is Scheherazade. I'm on to the giveaways. The flickering eyes, throat-clearing desires to get away, a gaze at the ceiling tiles, an interest in shoes, phone, fingernails, ways of saying, leave me alone. Or the 2 jolly smiles with the hackneyed, hi, how are yous? And did you do something new to your hair? Or the mental undressing, scrutiny from a psyche beyond. I keep finding myself far afield and labor inside like a farmhand plowing across the storied land. Come into my presence with your senses bare, candid as a tail-wagging dog. Spill the deeper thoughts running through your mind, and I may respond in kind, or spin a white lie to keep us alive. But I get it, I really do. What right do I have to breach the bars of your personal space? Who the hell am I anyway? Your anxious dreams incarnate. In vitality's feast, a fishbone, unclassifiable, last one standing in the game of musical chairs. I know. We're just exchanging a little dab of social glue, a comfortable slice of civility. Nothing to unite me to you, but a kingdom in the human zoo. Maybe it's all for the best, to keep your tails under the veil. The happy ones stir warts of envy. The tragic haunt my sleep. And I will end with infinite jest. Alas, I knew them, Horatio, from these things of sound and sight we call media. How often have I watched their antics and listened in all phases of merriment? When can we talk and, oh, grow up, made me laugh. And so like nano, tickled the world's funny bones. A pox on misery, on sacred cows, a pox again on the death of clowns. Comedy is reeling from its loss, the mask of tragedy triumphant for a while. Friar Robin the Genie and Queen Joan of QVC, those skewers of conceit and veins of stolid egos, reduced skull and bone to ash. Legends of hilarity, how now their harsh departure doth touch upon the dismal day. Without their barbed rays or mirrored truth cloaked in mirth, we must suffer lesser fools who try to win our heart in production of a duller art. Send for the jesters anyway. Who else to make us helpless with release? Who else to lift these heavy clouds and bring to bear the chortles of a jocund hour?
Our next poet is Elizabeth Marchetti, and her poems have appeared in the Journal of New Jersey Poets, Lips, the Patterson Literary Review, and other journals. Her chapbook, Pause and Begin Again, was published in 2006. In 2010, her poem won first prize in St. Catherine's annual art and poetry exhibition. In 2013, she won an honorable mention in the Allen Ginsberg Poetry Awards. Let's welcome Elizabeth Marchetti.
Thank you, Maria and Laura. It's a pleasure to be here with all these wonderful poets. Beware. Senior citizens, we are everywhere. Be very afraid. Driving slowly on the parkway, not even looking before switching lanes, holding social get-togethers in the aisles of supermarkets, unconcerned about blocking traffic. Senior citizens, we are everywhere. Be afraid and be very afraid. I actually had fun writing that one. Comes with a little disclaimer, not me, of course. I've been reading Ted Kooser lately, and there's a quote from his poem. I called the poem Under the Flyway of Dreams. If you should look for me, you'll find me here in Nebraska, 30 miles south of the Broad Platte River, under the Flyway of Dreams. That's Ted Kooser. Once I dreamed I would become a famous novelist. I would write stories about my hometown. Then I would travel to faraway places, write splendidly literary psychological dramas, so absorbing that readers could not put them down. John Updike, after all, was my contemporary. He grew up in Shillington, Pennsylvania. His mother, an aspiring writer. He attended Harvard and Oxford, worked for the New Yorker, and wrote many novels that I loved. I married and never left my hometown till years passed. 4 children later, we moved. I went to Montclair State College in my 50s, loving every minute. Years later, I finally fell in love with my new hometown. If you should look for me, you will find me here in Totowa, 15 miles from New York City, living happily under the Flyway of Dreams. So I feel that I have to read Hallelujah, which is kind of an ode to my hometown. Hallelujah. I have fallen in love with my hometown at last. It's something that grew over the years. I have, after all, been living here since 1966. At first, I missed my penthouse, that 3rd floor apartment under an almost flat roof, hot in summer, cold in winter, where we could see the sky through the spaces in the wainscoting of the kitchen walls. My children missed the noise, even the dirt of the city, their friends at school, the possibility of walking to church and to the library. I missed my 3 clotheslines and my downstairs neighbor, Angela, my view of the sky from my back porch, and the imagining of the Passaic Falls off there in the distance beyond the rooftops. I learned to love where I live. The song of the birds no longer awakens me in early morning. Sparrows have become my muses. I delight in the sight of the tufted titmouse and his quick visit to the feeder. I find the Totowa Public Library a haven, and a quick trip to Barnes & Noble in nearby Woodland Park a blessing. I love the traffic lights on Union Boulevard and the drivers who use Dewey Avenue as a shortcut during rush hour. I love the schools where my children grew up, the maple trees that used to shade Dewey Ave, and the pear trees that bloom there now in the spring. I have fallen in love with my hometown at last. I'm going to squeeze this little short one in. It's not really a haiku, except William Higginson said, it could be an American haiku. It doesn't have to be 575. I wrote this in a workshop with Sean Dougherty, a wonderful workshop. I am wind, tossing the leaves of memory, blowing away sorrow. I'll have to squeeze this one in. Life is playfulness. Be like a puppy. Wag your tail when company comes. Jump up and kiss their face. Be silly. Tell a joke. Laugh. Tickle. Make light of each disaster. If a dark cloud hangs over your head, when the downpour happens, open your imaginary umbrella and stomp in the puddles. Laughing is better than crying. Live life as if there were no tomorrow. Eat, drink, hug, smile at everyone. Speak words of encouragement to all, especially the inept. Greet the day like a puppy. Wag your tail at it and give it a wet kiss. Thank you.
I'm trying to see if Marilyn Mohr is here. Okay, and again, the computer ate your bio, Marilyn, so just fill in. I just know Marilyn is a widely published poet, was active in the Woodstock Journal. She's been published in Lips, PLR. She co-hosted the poetry series at the Metro Y for many years, and she is the author of Satchel, published by Cross Cultural Communications. Let's give her a warm welcome. Marilyn Mohr.
So thank you guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Okay, if you have a pen, would you just hold it up?
I'm sure I have a pen somewhere.
We are not cartoonists or journalists, but we are poets, and we also have a political responsibility. In the name of Neruda and all those who strove for justice, I hold my pen up in tribute to those who lost their lives. So, I brought 3 poems to read. Wow, I brought a dog poem and I didn't know it, and I left my other poems in my bag back there. I'm going to read a dog poem because it's here. Yeah, my bag is right back there. I left the other poem I was going to read, the New Year's poem there. Naming the dog. Unfortunately, I lost this dog in May, but he was just such a blessing to me. The poem is to the dog, and it's also about my late husband. Naming the dog. Brought home, small as the rabbits you loved to chase in the yard, he named you Muzzle for the good luck he felt at finding you, a purebred born in a shelter. Grown beyond lap size and almost his height, you pressed close as a newborn, nuzzling into his neck as he stretched to accommodate the length of your torso. You'd lick his face as if grooming a pup. He named you Delicious. He laughed at how you followed him from room to room as if you were the shepherd and he your charge. And when you lay beside him the days of his illness, and would not leave, he named you Velcro.
I just want to get my New Year's poem out. I know I brought it, but my folder is not here, so there.
Darn it. Okay. Such is life. Gratitude. It's the 54th anniversary this month of my mother's death, so I'm going to read a poem which is relatively new to her. You were still mommy when we lost you 50-odd years ago. We stand jubilant at our luck to be here at your grave on our birthday. I'm a twin, by the way. To be able to thank you for the warmth of your arms, the wide, deep lap, the songs in the morning, to thank you for the breath and strength you somehow gave us to survive the orphaning and grueling adolescence that followed. Our good fortune to have had a mother who delighted in daughters. You prayed for a girl and got twins. Loved without contract, without price, with a strength as strong as the granite monuments that surround us. We are celebrating an age 20 years beyond your lifespan. Grandmothers, professionals, we have a wonder at life, an appreciation of each other, and this simple opportunity to say thank you.
So I wanted to announce this reading.
Poems from the Jewish Currents calendar, and Jessica DeConica, we all know is going to be one of the readers at that. Okay. So thank you. I guess we'll have to hear my yes poem another night. Thank you.
I forgot to tell you the date. It's Thursday, January 29th at 7 p.m. I have the notice. I'm going to put it back there for during the break.
Okay, our next reader is Rochelle Parker. Rochelle is a I'm sure I'm going to say this incorrectly, a Nazowadox-born, Brooklyn-bred girl who now resides in Montclair, New Jersey. She's been published in Muse, Bella Online, Eloise Journal, and The Path magazine. I can't say it. She's been named the first prize winner of the Pat Schneider Poetry Contest in 2014 and will appear in their Peregrine Journal. Let's welcome Rochelle Parker.
Thank you, Laura and Maria, for having me here. I will read that poem that you mentioned. It's The Dream's Path. Harriet, wake now. I've flown further along the road, further down the river, further up north, further through lives, the path is clear. For these rag-torn Africans, sweet potatoes in their pockets, their souls weary from being ripped from coast of ivory, plucked down to germinate with the eastern shore. Wake, Harriet, wake. I've spied busy helpers moving to and fro. Groundhogs are burrowing small holes. Temperatures at the river's bed are dropping. Chandlers are pouring and dipping molds. The path is clear. March these bone-weary freedom stealers. Round back the way you came. The river to your right, the sun to your left. Listen for the owl's last hoot of the night. Follow the possum to the laurel bushes. Wake, Harriet, rise. I've learned this circling gives the time for the right amount of space to hide for a day's sleep, the right amount of cold for frozen rafts to float to the other side, the right amount of hardened wax and wick to light the way to friends. The path is clear. Continue. to push along the rib-thin cargo, stomachs now fed with hope and courage, knowing babies quiet in nubby brown blankets, mothers carry them with skin and bone hands. Fathers carry them both on skin and bone shoulders. Ancestors shroud them all with the beat of drums. Rise, Harriet, follow your mother wit. I've witnessed in a spirited lot at dawn, building a community, though looking over their shoulders, a carpenter called Freeman, a cook called Freeman, a farmer called Freeman, the Reverend Freeman. We just have one more. Night, night, Grammy. Don't let you would finish bedbugs bite, tickling my sides. My pink nightgown with orange roses, red laced hems would rise up, revealing the evidence of hard play. Sun-kissed knees, both with bandages, my bathtub fingers shriveled from tub water, reaching for you. My bony arms, my bony body you pulled into your giant bosom, your round tummy melding as one. I was lost in that hug, fat layered thinly over tight muscles, built by biscuits, cushioned by love. I still hear night, night, baby.
We have two more featured readers before we get to the open, and in our open we have some writers who have been featured in venues by themselves. And I want to also say that the Montclair Times has a photographer who has been covering this, and they covered the, your names were mentioned in last week's Montclair Times, and I guess they've been taking pictures at Robert Salazar, and there'll be some in next week's Montclair Times, so we want to thank them for covering this reading series. Kenneth Rokowitz teaches at the New Jersey Institute of Technology at Montclair State University. He has been the editor since 1998 of poetsonline.org, a monthly online poetry magazine and website for poetic inspiration. He is the recipient of 2 Dogs Foundation writing grants, and his poetry has been nominated twice for the Pushcart Prize. His poetry is published in Tiferet, English Journal, Patterson Literary Review, Beloit Poetry Journal, Roadmap Prague, as well as in several anthologies. Let's give him a warm welcome.
I think I'll move this a little, not do the Hendrix thing. 3 poems about people. Translation. My grandparents would speak Slovak with my father, the aunts, and the uncles at the Sunday dinners at their home in Newark when they didn't want us to know. In those days, the priests spoke Latin. That was the mystery of the faith. The boys on the number 42 bus spoke Spanish as I rode to my after-school job, and when they laughed, looking in my direction, too fast for my B+ Spanish 3 understanding, but enough that it hurt. The waiter at the Chinese restaurant changes my order into words that I want to understand, but I will never know. Translation. This is the poet's job, and the job of the reader too. We have been in training all of our lives. This is called Still. The tea leaves are swirling in my cup as the hurricane approaches. Schools are closed, so my wife and I will not have to teach. While I am outside, securing what I can, chairs on the deck, a picnic table, umbrella, pots of flowers, my wife makes soup and fresh bread for lunch. When I come in, I lock the doors behind me, and there is my son, 6 months old, lying in the center of a yellow blanket in the center of our family room. He is practicing holding his head up while lying on his stomach. My wife and I lie there too, head to head, faces together, like a three-pointed star. Each of us the radius of our world, while all around us the wind spins the leaves that rush past the windows, and we are so perfectly still. And this last one's called Love Defined. She told me all about it in high school. We sat next to each other for 4 years in the alphabetical homeroom of ours. Sophomore year, she shot this arrow at me. When are you planning to grow up? Junior year, her hair was a longer blonde, as was mine, and we moved our desks closer, further from the idiots around us. On a first date, if you touch a woman on her arm, above the wrist, to the biceps, that's a sign of warmth, she told me. Touch her face, neck, or feet, and you are coming on to her. Watch out touching her head or waist. It's confusing. Anywhere else, and you're pointing to sex. I believed her. She was my only inside source. We never dated, so we could talk about these things. I could stroke the fine hair on her forearm. She told me to let the woman do the talking. Answer her question with a question about her. I'd push her hair, stroke her neck, she'd laugh. Keep your right eye on her right eye, then switch your left to her left. What about love? I asked her, walking home the week school ended, her arm around my waist. When you don't have to think about these things, when your eyes just automatically meet. She pulled me so our foreheads touched. Our lips brushed as she said, when there are no more questions. We pressed together like a book, closing upon itself.
Our last reader in the of the featured readers is Bob Rosenbloom, and Bob is a certified civil trial lawyer. He hosts a monthly poetry reading at the Bridgewater Public Library for the Somerset Poetry Group. He's had poems in the Patterson Literary Review, Lips, the Edison Literary Review, Stillwater Review, Exit 13, among other publications. Finishing Line Press published his chapbook, Reunion, in 2010. He lives in Boundbrook with his wife and son. Their daughter recently got married. Let's welcome Bob Rosen.
First poem I'm going to read is called Tallis. Tallis is the Jewish prayer shawl, and there's an inscription on the shawl that's to be read before you put it on for prayer. Tallis. After a shower, a man pulls a towel above his head like a prayer shawl and recites, as if there's an inscription, Blessed thou art, heaven's emperor. Thou hast made us holy through thy commandments, King of the universe. Thou art great and merciful, holy and just. Thy will may never be known. Our devotion stays strong. Thou hast sanctified us and given us the season of delight. Made water flow from a desert stone. Turned the Nile into a sea of blood. Thou hast separated light from dark, a lot like laundry, sacred from profane, pointed the way out of Egypt. Thou hast left us the Sabbath, and oh God, that shower felt so good. This poem is called Waiting. It started out as a list poem and it ended up as a love poem for my wife, which was I normally don't write love poems, but this is nice to do. I waited the doctors, the dentist. I put up with Homeland Security at airports to keep terrorists and ski masks away. I wait in diners by the cash register for a table. I listen intently when the owner asks if everything was okay. I get in line for movies, Broadway plays, the snake lines at Six Flags. Oh Batman, oh Robin, Scream Machine, oh Congo Rapids. The closest I'll probably ever get to Africa. I'm part of the hungry herd that lines up in corrals at KFC and Wendy's. I wait in bank lines, at the ER with an irregular heartbeat, in court, for judges to get off the phone, for lawyers stuck in traffic. Sometimes I'm that lawyer. No one wants to hear that. It's the school attendance award. No, actually, not really, I'm never late. It's like getting the school attendance award. I don't admit I prayed for giant snowfall that shuts down the schools and work, for Governor Christie to call a state of emergency so I can shovel snow and try to get my small-ass snowblower to work. I slow down for traffic lights that turn to yellow. I wait for lights to return after blackout so things can return to normal, so food doesn't spoil. I wait on cold platforms in New Jersey Transit. I used to wait on platforms for the Long Island Railroad, stations of the Double Cross. I still wait for a sign from God. I'm that gullible. I wait for something better than H-bombs because the sun is thousands of H-bombs going off every second. It's no wonder outer space is a void. I've learned to kill time because time is killing me. I wait for miracle cures because it seems we're so close, so that we can live as long as people did in the Bible. Honk like a traffic jam if you love Jesus. At least I don't have to wait for something as wonderful as sliced Wonder Bread with its red, blue, and yellow balloons on the package, a breaded circus, the hurdy-gurdy man as baker. Tonight, I wait for the wind to push white clouds away, for stars behind the clouds to step up to the footlights. May I say I don't mind waiting for you. I'm from Brooklyn. I grew up in Brooklyn. This is called Brooklyn Haiku. And before I do this, I look in the audience to see if there are kids in the audience, and no. There's one word in here, maybe. So you don't normally associate Brooklyn and haiku, maybe? So this is Brooklyn Haiku. Who the fuck told you you could sit on my car? Oh, there goes a robin.
Okay, what we're going to do, because we're running short on time, is to start the open reading now.